Here is my recap on Dexter Season 6, Episode 1, entitled Those Kinds of Things. It's a year later, and many things have changed, and that's what the beginning of this episode is. They are reestablishing relationships and what has happened with these characters over the past year. We find out that Batista is no longer married to LaGuerta. They kind of split up. We find out that LaGuerta is getting promoted, and she's getting promoted because she had some dirt on her boss. You find out that he was in the little black book of somebody who basically has escorts and stuff. And so he doesn't want to get caught. So he ends up basically promoting LaGuerta. So she's going up to captain. At the same time, we've got LaGuerta who's going to promote Batista because when she was there with her boss, he says, now that you're getting promoted, you're with the big boys and you better watch your back. She's putting Batista in her spot where she used to be so she can have some cover, basically, that he can be there to have her back. We've got Dexter, who bought the apartment next to him so that he had a little more space, and it makes it easy for him to come in and out undetected. You find out that Batista has a sister, and his sister has been watching Harrison for Dexter. And Dexter is looking for his new kill. At the very beginning of the episode, he kills these two EMT specialists. Basically, they would allow people to die and not save their lives. And Dexter killed these two individuals with the paddles in the back of their truck, in the back of the ambulance. We find out that Dexter is going to his 20-year high school reunion. He is there on the hunt. There is a guy who used to be the most popular guy in school, football star, who married the most popular girl in the school. And this girl happened to be very friendly to Dexter, was always real nice to him, and he remembers that. Well, she ended up committing suicide, and so that's what everybody thinks. Dexter went through the file and found out she had blood underneath her fingernails, and he wants to find out if that matches her husband. So Dexter goes to the high school reunion for the purpose of getting the blood from this individual, getting a sample. Things don't go as planned. In fact, he finds out he's probably the most popular kid as an adult because of his job and what happened to him with Rita getting killed and just his notoriety. He is like a rock star there at his 20-year high school reunion. He tries several times during the episode to get this individual's blood. And finally, what he does to get it is he ends up doing a flag football game with a lot of the ex-high school members, his schoolmates, and ends up clocking the guy in the nose and getting the blood basically on a shirt or something. And he ends up using that to determine, yes, he was the guy that actually killed his wife. Dexter goes after him and does kill him in the very end of the episode. There's a lot of religious undertones in this episode. They're trying to get Harrison into a school. It's a religious school, and Dexter doesn't believe in God at all. And he talks to Batista about this. He actually talks to the guy that he kills a little bit about faith, and he just thinks it's a bunch of phooey. And so it's kind of interesting, the dynamic there. Now, at the same time, we have littered throughout the episode a little bit of what's going to be happening over the season and the big bad guy in this season. And we were introduced to Edward James Olmos is playing a character, along with Colin Hanks, who is Tom Hanks' son. They're in this, and the first scene with them is in a boat in a swamp collecting snakes. We don't know what they're doing. The next time we see them, we've got Colin Hanks, who kills this food vendor off to the side of the road, disembowels him. The Miami Police Department does investigate that scene, and Dexter tells him what happened. The vendor got pulled down this trail, and he was disemboweled, and then they never found the body. Well, there's a body that washes up on the shore towards the end of this episode, where there's a symbol, Alpha Omega symbol, on his body. And he's all stitched up, and there are little tiny snakes that start coming out of his body, and it freaks all of them out. So Dexter is kind of intrigued and knows that this is an expert who did this, and Dexter is going to be on the prowl going after these individuals. So we don't know anything about Edward James Olmos or Colin Hanks in this episode. So that's going to be detailed, coming up in future episodes. The only other thing that was important with the storyline is Masuka is looking for a new assistant down there at the police department. So he's interviewing like a group of like 6 or 8 different individuals. There's one girl he thought was pretty hot. They all assumed that was the person he was going to choose. At the same time, we've got the guy who actually scored the highest out of the group is a big nerd, But in that scene where they find the dead body with the Alpha and Omega symbol, he passes out when the snakes come out. And so that's not good. And so he ends up choosing the girl behind him. So she's going to be in this season as well, being Masuka's right-hand man. Those are the kind of story threads that we have in this episode. This is kind of like a build-up for the upcoming season. We also do find out that Deborah, Dexter's sister, is there with Quinn, and there's actually a scene in this episode where it looks like Quinn is going to propose to her, and there's a shootout there at the place where they're eating dinner, and Deborah has to take the guy out, and Quinn is in the bathroom trying to get up the nerve to ask her. And when he comes out, Deborah pretty much had taken the guy down, but it looks like she might have been shot in the side. They didn't really go into further detail. They just showed that she was like kind of holding her side after the whole incident. So we'll see in episode 2 where that goes as well. There's just a lot of little things that happen in this episode, and we're going to see how that leads up to the storylines coming up. All right, that's all I've got for you for this recap. We'll see you guys on episode 2 up shortly.